Welcome back to Newsfile. And like I said, this show this morning is dedicated to the memory of Kaba, who is being put to rest this morning. And in respect of him, we are actually supposed to be paying our last respects to him at the front of the State House. We are unable to be there this morning until we are done with our show. So we want to observe a minute of silence in his memory. And may Kaba's soul rest in perfect peace. Let's go to the phone lines now. Hello, Komla Adam. Yes, tell us where you are and what is happening where you are now. Hello? Okay. So we're just trying to bring you a bit of what is going on as we speak. Okay, so technology is failing us, but the entire team is out there as dignitaries are beginning to gather and to file past the body of Kaba. And we just wanted to give you a bit of a glimpse of that before we continue with the show. Komla, let's hear you. What's going on?
Okay. So, Samson, what is happening here at the forecourt of the State House is that at the moment, the dignitaries are filing past the mortal remains of the late broadcaster, Kwejo Asaibafo Champong, who has been lying in state for the past 2 to 3 hours. And I have to say that the wife of the Vice President, Samira Baumia, and other dignitaries in government, for example, the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, has arrived here. We have the Chief of Staff, Madame Opare, who is also here. We also have some dignitaries from the New Patriotic Party. Freddie Blay is here. I've seen Freddie Blay. I've seen John Boydu also here. I've also seen leading members of the National Democratic Congress. I've seen the national organizer, for example. I've also seen the director of elections for the NDC in the 2016 elections. I've seen Adekoka. I've seen many leading members of parliament as well, Kojo Nkrumah and Sam George, and many other members of parliament who've already gone to file past the mortal remains of the late broadcaster. And I have to say, Samson, that in a short while, we will be commencing the church service proper. But at the moment, as you can see in the shots, it is exchange of pleasantries. And right here in the shots is Kumawood actor Ejako, who is currently in exchange of pleasantries with the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. He's also just had his exchange with Mr. Boche, and he's going around to literally exchange pleasantries with the dignitaries who are seated under the dais here at the forecourt of the State House. So something, what's happening for the past 2 to 3 hours is the filing past of the mortal remains of Kaba. And I have to add that in a very short while, I'm told, the church service proper will be commencing right here at the forecourt of the State House. Samson.
Thank you very much, Komla Adum, and thank you very much. Of course, we will continue the show from here, and when we are done, we will also come over and pay our last respects. That's if we have the opportunity by then. Well, quite, there's something that is revealing about the ceremony. Members of the New Patriotic Party, very key, significant members of the party who are supposed to be in Kumasi this morning, are here, to pay their last respects to Kaba.
Absolutely, and it tells you the impact that he made in this rather short life of his. I mean, I happen to have known him closely because I was a regular feature on his show Mondays.
Yeah.
And, I went by there this morning as early as I could to go and pay my last respects to him.
Okay, you've already done that.
Yes, I've
That's
already
good.
been there.
All right.
Hoping that when we leave here, I'll pass through there before I head for Kumasi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kara is indeed a great loss to all of us.
I think you should end it there. I don't like to look into your face. Yes, Kuku. Yeah.
Really sad.
All that has to be said really has been said about him. You have done so already. Yeah.
We'll all go and bid him farewell.
Right.
In the process, we are celebrating his life.
Right.
Not mourning his death.
Right. Okay. Well, I have said that I'm tired. I have no tears anymore. So I'll rather elect to, reminisce and think about the good memories of the great friendship that we had and the works that he actually has left that resonates with a lot of people. Yes. Mama Yaga.
Yeah, it's definitely a painful loss when a relatively young person passes away, especially somebody who, within the short period in his professional career, has made such great impact, being one of the very important voices amplifying issues that deserve public attention,
Right.
and opinions that have shaped our governance arrangements. Very, very young, relatively, and yet has made such great impact. When we lose people like that, it is painful. I mean, if you imagine how people like Mr. Kokubako are impacting on our governance, how far they have traveled. And if he is given that opportunity by God, I'm sure he would have definitely been a great asset going into the future.
Right.
But it's a painful loss.
Okay.
We all
Thank you.
share our sympathies.
Thank you. Right. Our prayers are with his wife, Valentina, and the little daughter, Nanaya. And I guess this morning, Abdul Malik Kubako, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. We should be joined shortly by Kofi Abochi, who's Dean, the Gimpa Law Faculty. And in the studio, in the meantime, also is Mahama Yarga, the Honourable MP for Boku Central constituency, and the former minister. Also in the studio is Andrew Ejapa Mesa, the Honourable MP for Second and with the NPP. Right. Now, since I deliberately did not forget to say Honourable, maybe we should start on the notes of the use of the title Honourable. The Chief Justice has been unhappy about its use. Of course, she seems to, re-echo or represent the voices of many about that use of the title. So there was a case in court involving two MPs who had taken a suit in the Supreme Court against Otiko Afisa-Jaba, and of course the Attorney General, as in representing the state, over her appointment on the claim that she had not done her national service and and because she hasn't done her national service, she did not do her national service before her appointment, she had breached the law and ought not be allowed to be a minister. Then they appear in court and the opposing side raises an objection. And the objection is that the lawyer has not renewed his license, his solicitor's license. We renew it every year. He has not renewed it. And for failure to renew it, he's not able to issue a writ. The lawyer says, well, I had applied for my license and it wasn't ready. I'm showing you the receipts. And even as we speak, I now have my license. And the court says, you seem to be forgetting. We have a decision here already in this court, and we have said you can't issue a writ without a license. All of that pales into insignificance when the Chief Justice now angrily, we are told, speaks about the use of the title Honourable for these two members of Parliament, and says because they have been used in the manner they were used, it's improper. So now here we are, we have spent some time in the course of the week discussing whether it is proper or not to use the title Honourable to precede your names. Almost all of you have letterheads, you have cards, call cards, you know, I mean, and you always put there, Honourable so and so, Honourable so and so. What's going to happen now? Are you all going to have to change your cards and your letterheads? And some of you even have offices, and that's what you have written on your offices.
Well, good morning to my elder brother and senior colleague here, and of course your good self, and all the people who have taken time off to watch and listen to us this morning.
Right.
I tend to agree with the Chief Justice's position, and I've thankfully known this for a while, that it was inappropriate to assume Honourable as a title, as a prefix to your name. And of course, you know the country that we live in. You know, things assume norms that really are not supposed to be. And I can cite examples where lawyers are referred to as learned, when indeed we all know the context within which you can use the word learned. But many people refer to lawyers as learned men, as if to say they are the only people who are learned than others. But Samson and I know that it's in relation to a brief that two lawyers are learned on that, you know, that title can be properly used. And so, yes, I guess that there's been a lot of abuse, and so what the Chief Justice sought to put out was to express her view about what the proper use of the expression or the title is, and the need for people to, as it were, abide by.
So she says that your name ought to come first.
Absolutely.
And if you want, then say
Honourable Member of Parliament for second
for this particular constituency.
Yes.
Right. Is that what you do? I haven't asked for your card ever since you came here because we have each other's contact.
Well,
Can I see your card?
I can get it for you when we close the show. I think I have some in
What
my
do you
card.
have on it?
I have Andrew Mesa, MP second D.
Okay.
And that is the same that I have on my letterhead as well. Okay. I do not recall writing my name with Honourable as a prefix.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I know that that is improper, and so I have not deliberately sought to do what I know to be improper.
Okay.
But then again, I listened to the colleagues of mine who were affected by the utterances of the Chief Justice, and they
we are talking
took
about
the view.
Ernest Nogbe, who is MP for Ashaman constituency, and Kwabena Minta Akando, for the Aboso constituency?
That, well, they were not the ones who prepared the writ in the first
Yes, it was
place.
their lawyer.
It was
so
their lawyer who did that. And
they felt the sins of their lawyer was being visited on them.
yeah, those are the consequences of some of these things. I mean, the Chief Justice was not going to scold the lawyers. Of course, I mean, she lives in this country and she knows that MPs, or some MPs, want of using that expression. And so she felt that having had the opportunity to speak to it, it was proper for her to do so.
Right.
But the point that they make, which I tend to agree with them, is many a time, it's your constituents, the people around who tend to refer to you as honourable. And that if that is done, you would not be properly, be seen to be correcting everybody who calls you honourable.
Okay.
And so I guess that...
Tell you what, at multimedia, is a deliberate editorial policy not to use honourable, as in when you are writing more particularly. And we are not even to address you that way when we are interviewing you. But often we forget because it's become such a default.
Absolutely.
So we say, Honourable Ayaraga, Honourable Mesa, we just go ahead and say it.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's what happens all the time. I mean, we cannot pretend to.
Okay.
But I guess situating it in proper context, I do not find anything wrong with what the Chief Justice said.
Okay.
Particularly when that is the proper usage of the title.
Right.
And so, well, maybe my colleagues who took offense about the way and manner with which it was delivered, even though I do not hold brief for the Chief Justice and I cannot pretend to be speaking for her, I guess they should take it on the lighter side and, really not make a big deal out of it. Because if you look in our standing orders, really, and in our votes and proceedings, and, all of that, Parliament itself calls you Mr. Andrew Mesa, Member of Parliament for a particular constituency.
Right.
So there's no time that I've seen in any official record honourable being the prefix to anybody's name in Parliament, at least since I went there, So I think they should take it, on the lighter side, and let's move on and all strive to do the proper thing going forward.
Okay, thank you. And talking about visiting the sins of the lawyer on the clients who are innocent, so to speak. The other small part about the license not being renewed, not having been renewed, and so you can't issue a writ. When they gave that judgment in 2016, I think sometime in April of 2016, there was this, brouhaha about it, that it didn't make sense. The 7-member panel, 4 of them, it was a split decision. 4 of them said, you need to have your license. If you don't have it, you've not obtained it, you can't issue a writ. And there were the other 3 who disagreed and said, but look, let's start with, whose fault is it? When this year, I'm sure you may have paid for your license in October. It's not ready. Okay, notices were issued to us to pay, to find a way of getting your license before you start. So they asked us to pay, I think, earlier on. We paid, we applied for it. As I speak, it's not ready. So they were suggesting, why can't you just show your receipts that you had paid at the time you were issuing the writ and be allowed to go on with the process? And they asked the question also, does the law not seek to punish just the lawyer? Because there's a criminal punishment to it. You'll be punished criminally if you are practicing without a valid solicitor's license. So if the punishment, just like, and they use the other professional bodies as an example, that they are punished as a medical professional or somebody, but not the client who must suffer. Do you think they need to relook at this law, this decision?
Well, I recall that prior to that decision, there was some administrative directive to give some 3 months into the year to allow people to, as it were, obtain their license.
Right.
I guess that administrative directive has been overtaken by the
judgment.
express judgment of the court. There's a clear dichotomy between what the rules are and what the practical application of the rules, is.
I remember, is it Justice Afre or Apau in that judgment suggesting, for example, that then when you are going to board a vehicle, a commercial vehicle, you may need to check the license of the driver. Otherwise, if the driver is arrested for an offense, the
but then again, I mean, I guess that would be resolved by your right to a cause of action against a lawyer who represented to you in a sense that he had a license and it turned out that
you would not have asked whether they have a license.
Well, it's
okay, let's
implied,
move on.
isn't it?
I'll just ask you whether you think they should review that decision. There's an application for review, but technically it was lost. Okay. So, Mama Yaga, you go to some of our courts, and I can say there are dozens of cases that come with the title Honourable, because there are MPs that are suing, or the MPs are the defendants, and they start with Honourable. And the judges don't have a problem with that. You don't think that has encouraged perhaps what we all feel is not correct and we shouldn't do? There are people who are walking around the place calling themselves doctor when they have not done any PhD. Some of them have been giving honorary doctorates by very questionable institutions, and they are parading it around.
Well, thank you very much. And let me also use this opportunity to say good morning to your listeners. The issue of this brings to issue the broader question of titles. And it's not just members of parliament. When you express your intention to contest a parliamentary seat, the people in your constituency already start calling you honourable. When you are contesting, you are a candidate, you have filed your nominations, you are called honourable. Even when you have lost the contest, and somebody has been elected, the person has gone to parliament, in the village you still remain an honourable. So honourable has become a title that maybe has been bastardized. Everybody likes to be called honourable. Assemblymen are called honourable. Ministers are called honourable. Deputy ministers are called honourable, and all that. So in popular parlance, everybody wants to address anybody of some significance politically as honourable. That is the problem. Now, let's move away from popular parlance to official records. And I think that is where we should properly situate the Chief Justice's comments. Official records, you know, if you look at our standing orders, I think Order 86, which deals with the rules of debate, it says that during debate, members of parliament may refer to one another as Mr. So and so, the honourable member of parliament for, and you mention the constituency. So for official records, that is what should pertain. Of course, people have extended it outside parliament, and anytime that they want to mention the name of a member of parliament, they prefix it with honourable. But for the records, that is not what should be the practice. So I think that the Chief Justice simply pointed out what should be the proper practice in terms of official records. And so we encourage people to learn from that, and let's do the proper thing. But as for the use of honourable in the streets, the Chief Justice may fight as hard as she can, but she won't be able to stop the people who are parading themselves as honourable this, honourable that, honourable this, honourable that. So I think that this is a minor issue. I don't even think my colleagues should be.
Is it minor? There are societies that we know, and often the example that comes to mind that people refer to frequently is Nigeria, where people have become so attached to titles, that they give themselves all sorts of titles. And we need to avoid that. We don't have to get to such a situation. So isn't it good instruction so that we do the thing the right way?
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that my colleagues who may be responding to the Chief Justice, I don't think that it is necessary. First and foremost, like you indicated, they didn't, produce the documents. It's the lawyers who did. And of course, she's the Chief Justice. So she has to guide lawyers in terms of what is the proper practice. So she used the opportunity to draw the attention of lawyers that this is the proper practice. Official records in court, this is how you do it. So that's the issue. And for Nigeria, I recall ever meeting the sister of a president of Nigeria, and she had a complimentary card.
Yes, they do.
So the sister of the president.
Yes, they do. and all the lawyers, precede their names with barrister. Barrister, so and so. In Ghana too, it's becoming something. People say lawyer, and somewhere it is done. Lawyer, Mesa, lawyer, Yarga, and sometimes you can't help it.
I know.
It doesn't matter how many times you correct them, that it's not necessary.
People want to brand themselves.
Yeah,
so
they'll do it. Now, curiously, is it wrong also, Kweku, if they said the Honourable before they brought the name? Because oftentimes when I want to use it, I like to say the Honourable before I bring the name. I see in places like America where even judges, they are referred to as Honourable before their name comes, and you go and their name plate is on their desk, and that is what is there. In fact, our judges are supposed and are referred to as Honourable Justice so and so, and the Chief Justice herself, if you are addressing her officially, the address is the Honourable Lady Chief Justice. I just looked at one of our laws, Supreme Court Amendment Rules, and this is familiar with most of the things that you see. Amendment Rules and who were involved. Here are their names. The Honourable Mrs. Marita Brew appear upon. The Honourable Mrs. Sophia O.A. Adinyira, Justice of the Supreme Court. The Honourable Mr. E.K. Kanyoki, Justice of the Court of Appeal. The Honourable Mrs. Elizabeth Ankoma, Justice of the High Court. Like that. It does appear if you say they, you are not wrong.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. Let me be honest with you. The Chief Justice was addressing a specific case.
Right.
And here was a case that before her court, or the court, the documentations and things had described, had used the Honourable as a prefix.
Right.
That's not a practice. We all know it. And we've been saying this for a very long, long time. I am very happy that the Chief Justice used the platform, that high-level platform, to make this case. At least, many people have been making that case. I've heard it many times. If you read this Ankoma's book, rant.
Is there not a cost to rant?
Yes, there's even an element there.
He got tired, just got tired of correcting particularly journalists who kept, and some who were actually writing it.
Fantastic. So there was a need for somebody to raise the issue at a higher level. And that's
there have been some people who have insisted that you call them so.
Thank you. District Assembly members, they all use it all over the place. And then even us, sitting at my base at coffee shop somewhere, Honourable, we have. Why? You see, it's part of that subculture of sycophancy. And also the egoism. I mean, so it cuts across. Those who advertise themselves as Honourable outside the appropriate framework are themselves on ego trips of a sort. Then those who come to us, even people like us, and say Honourable, they are all feeding into a certain subculture of sycophancy. And the two put together sometimes could be a disaster. So the Chief Justice was right. And you see, my surprise really, it is the reaction of the members of Parliament. That's where my surprise is.
Okay.
Because I thought they should know their own standing orders, and Mahama Yariga actually referred to it, the rules of debate. This is section, as I said, is a standing order 86.3, and I would want to read it. It says, ministers shall be referred to by their ministerial titles. The deputy speakers and the deputy ministers shall be referred to by the names of the offices held by them. All the other members shall be referred to as honourable, together with the name of their constituencies. That is, quote, the honourable member for so and so and so. Where an honourable member has already been so described in a speech, he may be further referred to as my honourable friend or the honourable gentleman, lady, or member. This is in their own standing orders. So if a member of parliament goes to court, and don't forget, we were not in the house, we're in court. And those documentations are in court, not in the house, before the house. And you've used that title, whether it's your lawyer or not, it's immaterial to me. So I'm happy that the Chief Justice used that occasion to highlight this abuse and to ask members of parliament, especially, and Ayarika is right, she can't decree that in terms of the street usage. So, but she had to do what she did. If you look at this book, I'm sure they picked it from the standing orders. This book is a guide to the Parliament of Ghana. It is compiled by one K.K. Techi. He used to be a clerk, and Mr. Peter Alajiti did the foreword. Almost similar to what but I still want to read it because there are two levels. It says, a member is expected to address his colleague member with the title honourable together with the name of his constituency. That is the honourable member for. Where an honourable member has already been described in the speech, he may be referred to as my honourable member or the honourable gentleman, lady, or member. Public officials are normally referred to by their designations instead of their names. A member of parliament is not expected to address people seated in the public gallery. But there's another one here, use of parliamentary titles. That's how it's titled. It says the use of titles such as right honourable, which goes for the speaker. Yes. Honourable, etc., enhances the status of the house. Other public office holders have over the years tried to use these titles, but in reality, the use of the title honourable is the sole preserve of the elected representatives in parliament. These are well known. The part about the judiciary things, I find it quite curious. I may need to go into how it came about. So I would advise our friends, the two MPs, rather to join the crusade to demystify or stop the bastardization of the title honourable. The Chief Justice did absolutely nothing. Just one last point.
Them, they seem to have been saying that, look, what is my crime if someone calls me that? And that, I'm not the one who put it there, it was my lawyer.
Irrelevant.
So
irrelevant.
No. But what that will also mean is that they may miss a point. Even though the CJ addressed that issue, it was not the basis for the striking out of the case.
Fantastic. But they are saying so here in the research material you gave us.
No, it was not.
It's here that instead of dealing with the merits or substance, she's gone and done this one and thrown their case out. We all know it's not connected. Let's not miseducate the public. Okay? Let's not do that. Rather, they should join the Chief Justice in this particular crusade to stop abusing the title honourable. It's as simple as that. There should be no debate, actually.
Right.
Thank you. And to add, I mean, I don't think that striking out the writ because the lawyer had no license deprives them of the right to go back and refile the...
No, it's as simple as that. Go get another lawyer who has a valid license. Or at that time, this same lawyer had already obtained the valid license.
So he can reissue the writ.
So
Fantastic.
Proceed with the substance.
So no fatal injury.
Okay. So that is good education. And I just wanted to emphasize that it is, for those who are reading politics into it and talking about hate or things that the Supreme Court appears to have done against somebody because of their political association, the Supreme Court on the 21st of April 2016 gave a judgment, a 7-member panel, 4 in favor and 3 against. Of course, the decision is the majority. It is the case of Henry Noete Kobo versus Francis Amosa. And in this case, it was the same situation. It started from the High Court, went to Court of Appeal. A judge in the High Court threw out a lawyer for not having a valid license, a good friend of mine, Teraga. He took the matter to the Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal said, but what's the sense in this? Just get the guy to go, you know, suffer his own punishment and let the suit be there and let someone else come in and continue with the suit. Don't throw the whole thing out. Then he wasn't happy about that, so he took it further to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court disagreed with the Court of Appeal and held that you must have a valid solicitor's license at the time you issue the writ. In fact, if you don't have a valid solicitor's license, you cannot prepare documents for the purposes of court or legal documents. So please, this is the decision of the court already. It is not the new thing they have done in their court and they have done it against somebody. So please, let's be careful how we read politics into everything. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Kofi Awuchi.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So maybe in a minute, if you want to say something about this title, use of Honourable, and then we'll proceed.
Well, Honourable Bochi.
Committing a crime.
You know? Yes, it's trying to put me in trouble. But my small take on this is that it's always important to distinguish titles from designations. And I think over the years, part of the confusion has arisen from this tendency to mix things up. Calling, so I can use my friend Mahama Yariga. So Mahama Yariga, the Honourable Member of Parliament, that is a designation. So his designation as a Member of Parliament per Honourable is a tradition which is recognized by our Constitution.
Right.
Our Constitution speaks of constitutional conventions as part of the corpus of our laws and our governance practices. Now, there's a long history to this, from the UK all the way to Australia over the years, where you have had peerages, and you have had members of parliament who have referred to themselves as such by reason of the very classification of those societies and their governance structures. So there's, you know, it's an honorific title. Sorry, it is distinguishable from an honorific title like a doctoral conferment, which is not supposed to be used, but again, which is used. In this particular case, it is the designation. So properly referring to someone as the Honourable Member of Parliament is a proper designation. But using the Honourable as a prefix converts the designation into a title, which even per practices is wrong. So in terms of proper practice from the UK and Canada to Australia, as I understand it, it is used in a designation format per standard practice. So, Mahama Yariga, the Honourable Member of Parliament, as opposed to Honourable Mahama Yariga. So I think for my contribution to it is a distinction between titles as opposed to designations, and that's where we have a confusion.
Right. Well, let me just
yes,
ask a simple question. How about members of the House of Lords who are, from the records that I have seen, called Lord?
Correct.
So and so, Lord so and so.
Right. They are lords.
Can't the parliamentarians also say that, learning from that practice?
Well, it's
if being a member of the House of Lords entitles you to have,
you know, this
the word Lord as a prefix.
Herbal medicine practitioners, because they are able to do these things, they call themselves doctors,
right?
And they use it
in a very loose way.
Yeah.
The distinction between that is that, again, if you look at the history, they were lords of boroughs and counties and particular peerages. That's why I say peerages. There were peerages of different kinds, and as you would know the history, a good number of them were monarchical oriented. So they had royalties surrounding them, not to mention the fact that some of them became lords by being knighted, among others. But they were lords for a particular reason. So they had the titles prefixing them, either because they became something of the British Empire or an order of a kind, or they were royalty, or they were appointed in a particular designation. But for the parliamentary one, there's an honor to it. Let's make no mistake, there's an honor to it. But the honor is not designed to become a title. It is
the Chief Justice actually gave the education.
Yeah.
Yes, she gave the education.
Yeah.
So she did not only reprimand, but she gave the education.
That's right.
Right. I think she's totally right in this particular regard. And in the context of courts, she was fully in her power to bring that to bear.
Right.
Because specificity and exactitude is everything in court.
Thank you.
And so if you are misdescribed, sometimes it's actually a basis for invalidation of your suit. And so in that regard, and I'm told...
There have been matters like that before them. They've not invalidated it. I think there's a time they have paid attention to it.
Right. So I think it's totally her right to do that. And I can understand it when, in a political context, you know, we are beginning to acquire some prestige, and suddenly you are telling us. But I can understand the political situation.
But in respect of titling suits and things, they would normally just ask you right there to use a pen and do the correction and take the other copies and do the correction. They will not throw you away because
absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Right.
This is one of what the lawyers will call an irregularity. An irregularity that will go to, which can be corrected.
Right.
But I'm not sure what the confusion is about. I think, again, as I said, it's not exactly, if I was a member of Parliament, probably, who knows, I will certainly be losing an HON near my name, and it will be something I'm very
those members of Parliament who know the proper use say,
understand.
They actually, you know, don't feel this should go on. All right, so thankfully, because of what the Chief Justice has done, we may be getting a reduction in this menace, if you like, of too many people parading about using honourable and also using doctoral, honorary doctorates and stuff. I'm sure many people will say Dr. Ekoswe-Gabriel. I'm sure he doesn't use that. He doesn't write it. But many people will say that. It's not a PhD he's got, but many people will say it by default. We do it here in the country.
That particular one, you know, as you brought it up, but that particular one has been raised before. If I remember, I think Professor Kusianka, years ago, about how people use the honorary doctoral thing. It's regrettable that in Ghana in particular, some respectable people also have that tendency.
Yeah, very respectable people.
So this brings in context, therefore, a discussion. And I overheard Honourable Ayariga.
Mr. Ayariga, the Honourable Member
we're
of
still trying
Parliament.
to get used to it. But I overheard Mr. Ayariga, you know, mention it on my way here, that in Nigeria, I also have had a card like that from someone in Nigeria who described himself as a brother-in-law of the governor of the
yes, even at the level of government.
And I remember I kept it for a long time, showing it to people. That was quite exciting. So it's an African.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And Kujan Singh has been doing some law on my page, and he's been sending me messages. He first asked me whether or not a non-lawyer can file a suit, and I said, yes, you're allowed. The rules allow you to actually conduct your entire case or defend yourself if you wish, but sometimes that obviously is dangerous, particularly if the other party has a lawyer. So he has a question. So if a non-lawyer's writ will not be rejected, why would a lawyer's writ be rejected because his license has not been renewed? Even if he has been disbarred, he would be able to file a writ as an ordinary citizen. So why strike it out? Because his license is not valid.
And he can do it.
So you see, the explanation for that is that a lawyer would ordinarily not have the right to issue a writ in a matter in which he has no interest.
Right.
The only reason he has the power to do that is because he's a lawyer.
Yes.
Therefore, if he loses the status of being a lawyer, you have issued a writ on behalf of someone without authority and with no license.
Thank you. Kwejo Ahojo says that, Ahodo says that in the UK, the members of the House of Lords are not elected members, and also their titles are conferred on them as per the arrangement. So they use it as a prefix. The members of the House of Commons are, however, elected members and are not supposed to use honourable or right honourable as a prefix. Well, thanks to the CJ, we now are paying attention to this.